A simple, good-hearted man succeeds because he's obedient, loyal, and pure. He doesn't question authority. He follows orders. He believes in love and destiny. To that audience, Forrest is living proof that America still rewards decency. Work hard, stay clean, and fate will do the rest. Wait a minute. Why did I even start this video? When I was young, I got into that whole basketball thing because I saw Michael Jordan. Just Michael Jordan. It wasn't about play systems or tactics. It was about that flight. He was the handman, hanging in the air when he jumped. For a moment, he seemed to defy everything that held the rest of us down. That's what drew me in. Not the crowd, not the stats, that brief suspension, that grace in chaos. Basketball felt like freedom. But freedom fades fast when you grow older and step onto rougher courts. Somewhere along the line, I started meeting a certain kind of player, the one I now call the elbow man. You know the type. Big, stiff, always trying to prove something. He plays with force, not rhythm. If you stand your ground, he digs his elbow into your arm. Not enough to call it a fight, but enough to say, I'm in charge here. And if you push back, he makes a scene, squeaks, shoves, acts like you're the one who fouled him. One day, I said it out loud. I don't play with people like that anymore. It sounded arrogant, even to me. But what I meant wasn't about skill. It was about mental level. You can sense when someone's lost his center, when the game has become the only place where he feels control. Take that platform away, and the man inside starts to crumble. The elbow man reminds me of Lieutenant Dan from Forrest Gump. Both live on power and pride, the belief that as long as they're strong, they matter. But when the world takes their stage, when the body fails, when the rules change, when the audience moves on, they don't know who they are anymore. Their posture says it all. Hands on hips, chest out, jaw tight. They're not really fighting you. They're fighting the fear of becoming invisible. And maybe that's why Forrest Gump hits so hard. Because in a world full of elbows and noise, he's the one who keeps playing without trying to win. He runs, he loses, he forgives, and somehow he stays whole. The return and the illusion of success. If you stay with the film a little longer, you realize that Forrest Gump is not a patriotic fairy tale at all. It's a tragedy disguised as a fable. A story about a man who does everything right and still loses everything that actually matters. Forrest isn't a symbol of success. He's a mirror for a society that confuses motion with meaning. He's the perfect citizen, brave soldier, football star, entrepreneur. Yet behind all that movement lies a deep stillness, a loneliness that never leaves him. Every person he truly cares about dies, drifts away, or fades into memory. And still, he keeps running. When Forrest returns from the war, he does what he's always done. He obeys the next calling. He plays ping pong, meets presidents, starts a shrimp company, buys a house. He becomes rich by accident, not because he wants to, but because he never questions the flow. Every scene of success is strangely quiet. Forrest sitting on a bench with his suitcase. Forrest mowing the lawn in front of his big house. Forrest donating money without understanding the politics behind it. He gives to the church, to the hospital, to Bubba's family. He keeps no score. And yet, as his wealth grows, so does the emptiness around him. His mother dies. Dan disappears for a while. Jenny drifts in and out like a ghost. You get the sense that Forrest's world is built entirely out of motion, and when the movement stops, so does meaning. All the flags, the business suits, the reporters asking questions, they're noise around a man who still just wants to sit on a porch with the woman he loves. That's the tragic joke of Forrest Gump. He achieves the American dream, but the dream gives him nothing he was ever looking for. Because what he wanted was never money or status. It was connection. And that's the one thing the world keeps taking from him. Jenny's last return. Jenny's final return is the film's quiet heartbreak. She comes back after years of chaos, worn out, sick, soft-spoken. For a short while, they live the life they always should have had. Walks in the park, laughter, silence that feels safe. Then she tells him she's dying. There's no melodrama in it, just calm acceptance. And in that moment, Forrest Gump stops being about destiny and becomes a story about loss. Jenny's illness, unnamed but unmistakable, AIDS, feels like history closing its circle, the fallout of the decades she lived through, the violence she tried to escape. She dies because the world she ran to was no kinder than the one she ran from. Forrest's reaction is pure grace. No anger, no blame. Just that simple line, half broken by tears. You died on a Saturday morning. He builds a life for their son, Forrest Jr., who now becomes the only thread of meaning left. And again, the camera gives us quiet. The house, the school bus, the wind in the trees. Hans in luck. This is where the fairy tale connection appears. Forrest Gump and Hans in luck share the same core idea, that life's meaning isn't found in accumulation, but in release. In the fairy tale, Hans trades everything he earns, gold, cow, pig, goose, grindstone, until he ends up with nothing and feels lighter than ever. Forrest's journey is the same, only modern and real. He earns medals, money, fame, and loses all of it, piece by piece. At the end, he has nothing left but his son and the memory of love. And for the first time, he seems complete. Hans lets go of his grindstone and watches it sink into the water. Forrest lets go of Jenny, and the feather rises into the sky. Two gestures, opposite in direction, but equal in meaning. The art of release. The feather. The film begins and ends with the same image, a single white feather drifting through the air. At first, we don't know what it means. It seems random, like coincidence or luck. By the end, we realize it's Forrest himself, a soul moved by the wind of circumstance, landing wherever life puts him, never fighting the direction. People often mistake that for stupidity, but Forrest's wisdom lies in his refusal to resist. He's not calculating, he's receptive. Where others struggle for control, he accepts motion as part of being alive. That's why he survives every era that destroys the people around him. The war, the drugs, the greed, the cynicism. Forrest's innocence isn't ignorance. It's the courage to stay open in a world that rewards hardness. He's what the Elbow man can't be, undefended and therefore free. The moral inversion. In the beginning, we think Lieutenant Dan is the strong one, the man with purpose, and Forrest the fool. By the end, their roles have reversed. Dan finds peace only when he gives up his fight against fate. Forrest had that peace all along. He didn't have to lose his legs to learn surrender. He was born with it. That's what makes Forrest both tragic and transcendent. He does nothing to win, yet he wins the only thing that matters: inner stillness. He loses everything external, but never his center. Jenny's death completes the circle. She dies from the world's violence. Forrest lives through it by refusing to imitate it. He holds no grudges. He doesn't moralize. He just keeps loving in the simplest way possible, by presence. Hans and Luck revisited. When Hans drops his final stone into the well, he feels light and free. That's the same freedom Forrest finds when he sends his son off to school and sits quietly as the feather rises again. Both stories end where loss becomes liberation. Forrest has traded the illusions of achievement, fame, money, medals, for the one thing that can't be traded: acceptance. He isn't happy because life rewarded him. He's peaceful because he stopped asking it to. Hans in the fairy tale smiles because he's no longer burdened by anything. Forrest smiles because he knows that even pain belongs to the story. The closing thought. At the end of Forrest Gump, the feather floats away once more, carried by an invisible breeze. Some call it fate, others chance. Maybe it's both. The point is not to control where it lands, but to live lightly enough that, when the wind changes, you can rise with it. That's the secret the film hides under all its sentimentality and nostalgia. The strength to move through a violent, confusing world without becoming hard yourself. Forrest Gump is not a hero because he wins. He's a hero because he remains kind. And that's the hardest thing to do.